this section, I'm going to tell you about the day of rituals that precede the wedding ceremony itself. Oftentimes, the series of rituals begins with the Tisch. Tisch is Yiddish for table, and a Tisch is a pre-gathering before everyone sits down before the chuppah for the wedding ceremony. So a Tisch happens around a table, and it often includes special drinks. It can have shot glasses with l'chaims or seltzers, something that people can partake in and celebrate together. And classically, during the Tisch, the couple is separated, and one member of a couple is having a Tisch, and the other member of a couple is having a Kabbalat Panim. And in a Kabbalat Panim, there's sort of a receiving line. This is classically the bride, and people are coming up to her and giving her blessings, and she's giving blessings back. And in a Tisch, classically the groom is teaching some Torah or trying to teach some Torah and being raucously and joyfully interrupted and celebrated through song and blessings by the people who love them and are surrounding them. A Tisch doesn't have to be gendered, and often these days a Tisch is done together. So the couple can choose to have one Tisch with all their loved ones present, or they can each have a separate Tisch, or they can decide which of these two rituals feels right for them, and one can choose something that looks more like a Kabbalat Panim, a receiving of blessings and a giving of blessings, and one looks more like a Tisch. Teaching some Torah or sharing some wisdom, singing songs, being roasted a little bit by your loved ones. And also there are other ways to relate to a Tisch. We like to invite people to think about, what do you need in order to get centered and grounded and feel more connected to yourself and your community before the wedding ceremony. So oftentimes there will be blessings given and received. There will be singing, there might be moments of silence, there could be a group meditation. Tisches are often led by a special person in your life, a beloved, a teacher, a mentor, a sibling. So it's a really nice role that you can give to someone you care about as an honor to facilitate and guide your Tisch, or one of your rabbis can do it. At the end of a Tisch, we get to move into what's called a Bedeken. And so if someone else in your life is facilitating the Tisch, this is when the pass-off happens to your wedding officiant. If a couple is having a separate set of pre-wedding rituals, 2 Tisches or a Tisch and a Kabbalat Panim, then people will be appointed to help them get to one another. There will be singing or something else that guides them to each other. Usually they're walking backwards and they're being walked towards each other at a designated meeting point, and they'll be brought back to back. This is the original first look in the Jewish tradition. If you have a Tisch together, then your officiant can still facilitate a moment where you get to kind of intentionally come towards each other and really take a moment. It could be a private moment, it could be a quiet moment where you come together. A Bedeken is called a Bedeken because it is a moment of checking. Bedeken means to check. And what you're checking for is that the person that you are now turning to face is actually the person you intend to marry. This tradition comes from Torah, from the story in which Jacob falls in love with Rachel and wants to marry her, labors for her hand in marriage for 7 years, and then the day of his wedding, he doesn't have a Bedeken. He doesn't check to see who is the bride under the veil, assuming that it will be her, and it actually is her sister Leah. So as a way to not get tricked or to not actually end up marrying the person we're not intending to marry, we have this custom of really intentionally looking at and gazing into the face of the person that you're going to marry and saying, yes, this is my partner. This is my future spouse. So if you're back to back, there will be a joyful, dramatic moment where you turn and see one another for the first time. And if you are already together, there will be an intentional moment in which you really turn and look towards one another. And this is also a moment when you can prepare by putting on ritual garb, ritual garments that you might be getting married in. So there's a custom of wearing a kittel, which is a white robe, a linen robe that is worn on Passover, on high holidays, and at a wedding, and a person is buried in their kittel. So you might have a special kittel that you're wearing as a garment for your ceremony. This is when you would put that on. You might be getting married in a talit or a talis, so this is when you could put that on. And you might be wearing a veil. So after the bedeking, after the checking, you can veil yourself. And any of those ritual garments might be given to you as a gift. There's a custom of loved ones or family members gifting these garments to you newly for your wedding. And so when you place them on, that's also an opportunity to say a shehechianu, to give the blessing for something new that you're wearing for the first time. Once you've gotten that first look, once the Bedeken has happened and you've put on your ritual garments, then your guests will start to move towards the chuppah and take their seats, and this is where it will transition into processing towards the wedding ceremony itself.